Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and two reviews of classic superhero films coming up. One from 1978 is the very first superhero movie that I have ever watched as a kid, and I don't know how old I was, maybe 5 or 6 years old. Two when the movie came out, maybe 5 when I watched it for the very first time. And the one that I guess nostalgically is the one that's it for me, I guess. Talking about Superman, the 1978 film, based on the DC comics and starring the great Christopher Reeve, the late Christopher Reeve, I should also say. The first of the 4 movies that he played, the what do you call it? Cape Crusader? Well, he played basically Space Jesus. But yeah, he played Superman, and I think for me, and maybe a lot of other people as well, Christopher Reeve is the benchmark with which you're going to, at least we are going to compare all of the superheroes with, because I think he embodied Superman very well. He just had that amiable character, but he also had a lot of charm. He had a lot of look of determination and empathy and all of that together. So I don't know, it's just my feeling. He is the guy who I've always compared all the superheroes to, and Christopher Reeve was always the one that's the benchmark. The movie is directed by Richard Donner, and this is the part I'm always confused with. I didn't know this until maybe around 10-15 years ago, and I had already read a couple of his novels by then. Mario Puzo wrote the screenplay. That's really surprising for me, and it doesn't seem like something that he would be into. Of course, you've got the great Gene Hackman, who's been out of movies for a while, but retired, and I think he's around 90 or 92, I guess. You've got the late Margot Kidder, really tragic story of hers after after the success that she had in the 70s and 80s. She did recover a little bit, but yeah, nothing like she was back in the 70s and 80s. Gene Hackman, Margot Kidder, Valerie Perrin, another actress who is, I think she's also pretty old by now. She's around. Valerie Perrin is, yeah, she's around 80. Yeah, so I've seen pictures of her. She's kind of ill and all that stuff, but still alive, still going with. Ned Beatty also acts in this movie, along with a host of other actors. But these are the ones that as more. And Sarah Douglas has got a very small, tiny role, along with Terence Stamp. We see them in the second movie. So this movie basically is telling you the origin story, how in all the advancement that Krypton has, the council members, the elders are all kind of still very arrogant. They believe that nothing can happen, but the High Council basically, after they do the sentencing for General Zod, Non and Ursa to the Phantom Zone, Jor-El, who's Superman's dad, Kal-El's father, he warns them that Krypton is going to explode because of the giant red supergiant sun that they have, but they are all like they don't believe it's going to happen. Unfortunately, his warnings do come true, but before that, Jor-El and his wife Lara, they send their son Kal-El to Earth, and I just want to tell this: Lara sees us as primitives. We're not advanced. Well, she's right. Anyway, so knowing that the sun's the Earth's sun, I should say our sun, is going to give him his unique physiology, a lot of superpowers. He's going to be better than everybody, faster, more stronger, almost indestructible, except for, of course, kryptonite, as we know. They send him on a small spaceship, the baby basically, and he lands in Smallville, Kansas. He's found by, the story, Jonathan and Martha Kent. They're astonished when they see his strength. They decide to keep it quiet. They adopt him, name him Clark, and as he grows up, you see him trying very hard to fit in, but then always being an outsider. And then when his father dies, Clark, after the funeral, he finds this crystal in the spacecraft, the remains of the spacecraft that he landed in. He goes to the Arctic and he throws the crystal in. It creates the fortress of solitude, and seeing the Kryptonian designs, and then he learns about his heritage. He learns about from the hologram of Jor-El, which can interact with him very well. Tells him about how he can go ahead and his origin and all those things. And as the years pass, we see him becoming Superman with the design of the outfit that you know and love and recognize. It's an iconic costume that he's got with the family crest of the S, which stands for hope. Odd enough. And yeah, he's lucky that his parents found a planet with everybody looks just like him. So yeah, the illegal alien, America doesn't like illegal aliens, that Superman is. He is now grown-up man. He is now a reporter, a journalist, and he applies to the Daily Planet in Metropolis, which is the big fictional city in the Superman universe. And he joins there. He's drawn to his colleague Lois Lane. He's infatuated immediately. And saving her is one of the first sightings of Superman that we actually see. When he rescues her from a helicopter accident, then he starts doing all his good deeds. He becomes known. In fact, it is Lois Lane who actually gives him the name Superman. After he is invited to meet her at her apartment for an interview, he takes her on a flight. That's actually very sweet, very, 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 very loving gesture from both of them. It's obviously she's smitten with him and he's smitten with her. And then of course Lex Luthor, played by Gene Hackman, escapes from prison. He discovers this US Army Navy missile test, and he wants to aim it at the San Andreas Fault with reprogrammed missiles. So that's his big plan, and he's got his assistant Otis, played by Ned Beatty, and he's got his sort of girlfriend Eve, Miss Tessmacher, keeps calling him, calling her, sorry, and they are able to find, after doing a lot of deducing, somehow or the other he knows that Krypton is the weakness, and he finds some Krypton as well, and he brings him to his lair. He traps him using the kryptonite and on a chain around him, puts it on Superman, and then dumps him into the kind of like a pool in his underground lair, and then he goes to do his to send out the missiles to create the earthquake in California. Superman is weakened, but he manages to to get Miss Tessmacher to free him. She knows that in one of the areas is going to be affected. Her mother actually stays in a place called Hackensack. So she frees Superman from the kryptonite, and he promised to save her save her mother as well. And then he goes and flies away, goes to get stops the first missile, sends it out into space. The second one triggers the earthquake, and it causes a lot of damage, as well as Lois Lane, who was trapped in her car that didn't start in the desert, but she's on assignment. Unfortunately, she is trapped in the earth basically splits it. The rubble all falls on top of her, and unfortunately Superman's too late. He is hidden by sadness, and even though he knows a way to actually turn back time, and flies around the earth in the opposite direction, so the earth starts spinning backwards. I don't know, it's more like science fantasy, but he hears the voice of his father telling him not to do so, because you can't interfere with Earth's with human affairs, but he does, and he's able to save them. Oh, I forgot to mention, he also saved Jimmy. What's his name? Sheesh, I haven't read Superman comics for a long time. Jimmy Olsen. Mark McClure plays Jimmy Olsen, who's a very young photographer at the Daily Planet. Saves him, and then he saves Lois, and then finally he goes and dumps Luther and Otis into the prison that they escaped from, and then he leaves out into the sunrise. So that is basically Superman. That's a story. It still works. I mean, if you can. My only complaint about the movie is when you look, especially when you look at it now, there's a lot of silly goofiness, especially among the villains, with Lex Luthor and Otis especially, bumbling henchman that he is. But other than that, it's a very feel-good movie. It's even the theme music never forgets to, give me a lift. It's very uplifting, to be honest. I forgot to mention that Marlon Brando plays the Jor-El, the father, and he's got top billing. I think Gene Hackman has got the second billing. Christopher Reeve was an unknown, basically, and they wanted the studio wanted an unknown actor to actually take over, take the role of Superman, basically. And around 200 people or something like that auditioned for the role of Superman, and he was the one who won the role. Yeah, so there's a little bit of goofiness that's there, but you expect it for the time, of course. Even in the 80s and 90s, it definitely would have been there. Don't talk about certain movies which is could have done with a little less goofiness in the superhero category, and but everything else about the movie is, I mean, there's I wish there was a little bit more action in the movie, but other than that, I actually feel that it's a perfect start for Superman. It's a perfect introduction to the character that we know and love, especially Christopher Reeve's those 4 movies as well. So for all of that, I give the movie an 8.5 out of 10. It's a nostalgic favorite. It's something which I've grown up with since the first time that I watched it. And I don't know how many more times I'm going to watch it, but I definitely will keep on watching the Superman movie. So I plan to do all the Superman movies so far for review purposes, and but this is also a trip down nostalgia, because I remember watching it in Kuwait and being astonished. Superman come to life. So yeah, the kid in me was. I was a kid back then. What was I, 5 or 6 years old the first time I watched it, so I was really blown away. Yeah, Christopher Reeve is always going to be Superman in my eyes, and I think a lot of people who watched him Superman for the first time as well. Nobody else can even come close. Alright, that's it. Good night.